4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovey offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And I'm Lovey. And we want to thank all of you for coming back to the podcast. You can be doing a lot of different things, but you've chosen to hang out with us for yet another episode, and we're truly grateful. Mm-hmm. So for those of you that are new to the podcast, before I even tell you what we're all about, just go ahead and hit subscribe. Trust us. Just hit subscribe. And make a note to actually tell your friends, tell your mama, tell your auntie, tell your cousins, tell everybody about the podcast so we can include all those individuals in the conversation as well. Mm-hmm. But we're a couple that's been married for a little over 28 years.
Yeah, 28 years.
Happily for most of it.
8 of it. No, I'm playing.
Yeah, but we've been through some things. And so what we do is we do this podcast to share not just things that we've learned over the years, mm-hmm. but we also bring you a lot of different subject matter experts as well as other couples to share their love story, to share their ups and downs, because I think we learn from each other as we go. Mm-hmm. But just to give you some of our qualifications, we are certified extreme execution coaches trained directly by Dr. Eric Thomas, also known as E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher. But we also have some additional clinical training from the Gottman Institute, level 1, level 2 couples therapy training. Mm-hmm. And little Miss Lady over here she speaks. She does speak.
Oh, okay. I thought she was just going to do it all. Anyway, he just wants me to tell everyone that I have my MSW. So there are different resources that are also available that we utilize too. So
exactly. And so when we first got married, it was a lot of tumults. Before we even said I do.
Before we got married, yeah.
I got stabbed by her ex-boyfriend when he broke into her home and had to have 2 open heart surgeries because the knife went all the way through my heart.
That happened 5 days after our engagement. Yeah, 5 days after we got engaged, he came over and acted crazy. So.
Yep, exactly. Him, not me. Him.
No, not Lovey. Lovey was my knight in shining armor.
Amen. And then 4 years later, somebody, I'm not going to say who, asked for a divorce.
Well, obviously, it was me. Yep, 4 years later, we were at dinner at Morton's, our 4-year anniversary, and the words just came out of my mouth. I want a divorce. I didn't ask. I just told you that I wanted a divorce. I didn't demand.
She demanded.
Obviously, we didn't get divorced because here we are, right?
I couldn't find the receipt to take her back to the store.
He wasn't trying to take me back, so.
Bottom line is we went through that, and we had to figure out a way to kind of make it over the hump, so to speak.
Yeah.
God played a huge part of that, but then we decided that we needed to become that couple that we needed mm-hmm. when we were going through all of our challenges. Mm-hmm. And throughout that process, that's when we developed our methodology of CRAZY.
So CRAZY is actually an acronym. It stands for compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding. So when we talk about being crazy, more people could be more crazy in their marriage. Everyone can be more compassionate. We can always be more real, have more accountability, stay zealous, and also practice yielding.
Amen.
We still working on him with the yielding. So
sometimes it's just straight up crazy, right? So
whatever.
But what we love to do from time to time is bring you an amazing couple or subject matter expert to really share their experiences, really get into it, especially when we meet some amazing people. Mm-hmm. We belong to a variety of marriage communities. And as we come across these individuals that really stand out, we beg, borrow, and steal to get them on the podcast.
We threaten them.
And that is the case today. So what I'd love to do without further ado is invite our couple, Lando and Carrie Mathews, to the podcast.
Woo! Woo! Sound effects.
I know. I suck at these sound effects.
Okay.
And it's not working.
I'll just do my sound effects. Okay, there we go.
Welcome, you two. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Great.
So,
well, thank you for agreeing actually to be here. So,
and everyone's probably thinking, okay, so what's so special about them? Well, first and foremost, I will say that Lando and Carrie are this dynamic couple that we met through another marriage organization, Intentionally Yours, that we belong to. And I was really intrigued with them because not only do they own their own business, which is LCM Construction Services, they work together. And because we work together doing this, we know how hard that can be. And they always have smiles on their faces. So if you could kind of share your background, how you met, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Wait, we just need a moment of silence for the working together and smiling all the time. Let's just have it. Okay, there you go.
100% because I got something to say about that too because it's not always smiling, but it's still great.
Okay, go ahead. So tell us who you are, how you met. I love an origin story. I love to know how people connected. So give us let us be nosy.
All right.
I'll let you start.
You want me to start?
Yes.
So let's see. As you said, Carrie Mathews. This is my partner in crime, Lando. We're working on year 27. It'll be 27 years in December. And thank you. So I met him. I got married at 18 and I was divorced. We had filed for divorce at 22 when I was 22. And my sister-in-law at the time introduced me to her older sister who insisted that I had to meet her nephew. And she just would not leave me alone about it. She kept bugging me. You got to meet him. And so I was just at a point in my life where I was coming out of a very restrictive religion. So I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and I don't want to try to not make this about that. But anyway, it's very restrictive. So I'll just leave it at that. That's for a whole other podcast, right? But that's for a whole something else. But I think my thought process at the time is that I wanted something completely different from what I had been brought up in. I was just in a different space. And I just wanted somebody that was the opposite of my ex. And I definitely found the opposite of my ex. But anyway, I'm going to let you
take over.
You can take over from there, because to go visit him was not going across town or meeting him at Auntie's house or at a barbecue. So
let me get some
ahead.
clarity around visiting. So I had a long history of drug addiction. I had been to prison at the time I met her 3 times for those types of sales, possession, and then I had another one that was pretty violent. So that being said, when she says visiting, she came to meet me in the visiting room at the county jail when I was fighting the case on my way back to prison. So
because Auntie needed a ride. She wanted me to give her a ride.
And she wanted something different. And she definitely got something different.
Okay, that's different.
But I agreed to give her a ride and come meet you so she'd leave me alone. And
So yes, that's how we met. We became friends before obviously anything ever happened, because we were placed in that position. I think it was very important for us to become friends. That's what established our foundation, is on friendship, getting to know her getting to know me, and my dreams and my things I wanted to change about myself, and how I never had somebody as beautiful as she was inside and out. And, I just never experienced anybody like her because of where I come from. I was raised in Oakland, and not the so greatest neighborhoods and areas. I didn't have any positive role models. I lived with my mother. My mother raised me. So the role models I had as male figures, they weren't like pastors or anything like that. I had a couple of uncles, really close friends of my mom, that poured into me and gave me wisdom when I was young. So that's really the only positive thing I had as far as how to become. My mother raised a man, and it's hard for a woman to raise a man, but she did. I wanted to not be like my father was, and he wasn't a bad person. He just, um, I don't think he knew how to pass that on to me. So anyway, I said all that to say that's how we met. That's where our story began, and then I'll let you take over.
And I do have to add that this man looks absolutely devastating in orange. That was something that helped me to come back for visit number 2.
That's what I'm talking about. That's where we got our colors. That's where we got our colors. So if you look good in orange, then hey.
Had to come back for no more again.
Yeah, I had him creased up and everything. Put him under the mattress.
That's a very auspicious beginning, and I can only imagine how the conversations went to make you want to keep coming back.
Well, I'm just trying to, I mean, because of the stigma surrounding males and incarcerated men, when she introduced the idea of meeting her nephew, was there any pushback from you? Like, are you crazy? Or, what was were you like, okay, I'll just try it?
Well, the thing was, well, for one, I didn't really have all the details of your past. I knew a little bit. I knew a little bit about you, but I don't know. I think, like I said, I think I was just in that space where it was, I don't know, was kind of reeling from getting out of where I was. And I was just in a very interesting space. I'll put it that way. But honestly, when I agreed to go with her after I was harassed to do so, I wasn't really going in with the mindset of this is going to turn into something. It was
Gotcha.
more of, I'm going to take you, I will come in the room with you, say hello, and I'm going to dip out. Like, I really wasn't going in with the mindset that this was I'm going to find my forever mate. That really wasn't going through my mind. I just wanted her to shut up, really. So when I went in there, I wasn't expecting, his behavior was, he had his little smooth line. He saw me and he's like, ooh, I'm in love already. And I'm like, really? Okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't mine though. It was for real.
So then she's, oh, I'm going to step out and go to the bathroom. I'm like, okay. So we sat and talked, but I came back. He sent me a letter that week, and I was really touched by the letter. And I came back the following week, which happened to be Valentine's Day, 1998. And I was like, you know what? Let me just talk to him without the pressure. I didn't even tell her I was going back. I'm like, let me determine what's going on here and what I feel. And even though I had left that previous religion, I was still praying. I was still trying to figure out, like, okay, God, I'm still talking to the Lord. But when I went to visit him the second time, it was quiet. It was just us. And we were able to really just do an eye level look at each other. And I appreciate the fact that there was no game. There was no, there was just honesty. I believe that I was allowed to just see what was truly inside. That was, of course, after he showed me a picture of Sully's little girl telling me he wanted one of these. That was the start of visit number 2. Like, this dude is really intense. I don't even know if you showing me somebody else's child demanding children. I'm like, he was a lot. He's still a lot.
If you don't ask, you don't get, right?
Oh my God.
Hey, closed mouths don't get fed.
Right.
His
So,
motto.
so Lando, did you know that your aunt was bringing Carrie to meet you, or were you kind of taken by surprise also?
I think she told
I
me,
think
right?
she told you.
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting what she brought, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I knew she was coming, but um, I don't know. I think I didn't expect to see what I saw and what I felt, and it just was like something I never felt before, and just a little extra history. So when you are living in the streets and doing everybody has a hustle. Some people break in the house, some people rob banks. I sold dope, and I had ladies of the night. I'll put it that
Yeah.
way. So that was my hustle. That's what worked for me. And so yeah, I wasn't new to women at all. So she just was something that was like uh, pure and beautiful, and her spirit. You guys know Carrie, and she has an energy around her, and
Yes.
so I mean, you'd be a damn fool to not see it and feel it. So yeah, so there was all of that. Like it was a lot. And when I said what I said, I mean, I wasn't even like that wasn't a line. It was
I know.
really different. And so
I know now it wasn't a lie. It just.
so as far as the baby thing, so one of the little homies in there, he had a beautiful little girl, and she was mixed, like I'm mixed, and like Carrie's mixed. Beautiful little girl, and I was like, and so that's when I took the picture in there to the visit, and that's what I showed her. That's what I wanted because I wanted. Um, I have an older daughter that came from the past, and I didn't have I didn't really have a relationship with her because I was in and out of prison. And her grandmother raised her. Her mother was an addict. She actually got taken from her. My daughter got taken from her mom when she was an infant. Like she got busted in a drug house and they took my daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
And so my grandmother stepped up her grandmother had custody ever since then. So I didn't have like children in a
Traditional sense.
traditional and relationship. You know what I mean?
Got you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that that's what that's not true. That's what I always wanted because my past relationship, my ex was older than like 10 years older than me. She had kids. I helped her raise her kids, and I was a good father figure. Um, and I loved they were my kids, especially the youngest. We were super tight, still are to this day, very tight. And she made me want to have that with her. And so yeah, that's how it started.
Sounds like at this particular, I think there are certain, what do they call it? Tipping points in our lives. And as those tipping points come up, sometimes they happen and people walk away from them. And then other times you're fully open to it. And it sounds to me as if that both of you, one, because, Lando, you were incarcerated and, and possibly looking for a change. And then Carrie being open to like, I need something, I don't know what, but something different. There was a tipping point happening at the same time for both of you. And you just happened to be there. I won't say just happened. God brought you together in that moment, in that time, and said, look, here's the light. You can either step into it or keep doing what you're doing. And you both stepped into the light. How long did that relationship, how long were you incarcerated before you got out and for the two of you to really start talking more than just on visits?
So I did a total of 26 months, and we got married in prison
That
in the
year.
visiting room that year.
That December.
98.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He told me, he said, 3 months in, he said, I love you. I'm going to marry you, and I'll let you know when you're ready. That was the proposal. Yeah, this man is no joke. Anyway, I said, I love you too, but I ain't getting married again. You go, I'll let you know when you're ready. So anyway, December of that year, we ended up getting married.
Wait, I want to know so how did that go? Lando, how did you let her know that she was ready?
Oh, that was just talking. That was talking sideways because I wanted to marry her then. And so it was just, I don't know, and we still do it today, just like our little banter and
Yeah.
clowning and talking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That was a line, and it worked. It worked.
It did work.
It worked well.
Well, it's funny you're talking about a line. I saw a line. I do a little bit of research on the couples and the subject matter experts we bring in, and on your website for LCM Construction, you have a quotation there that really stood out to me, and I want to know how it applies to your marriage.
Okay.
There's a thing that says building with precision, delivering with pride.
Mm.
And so since Lando's got all the lines, I'm just curious, like outside of construction, is there a place for that same quote, building with precision, delivering with pride, as it relates to your marriage?
Well, actually, she came up with that. Well, mine is striving for excellence. It always has been because it's. I apply that to every area of our life, our marriage, my business, how I want to be as an individual. But yes, that building part came from her. So I'll let.
I think for us, and I mean, you could have 8 episodes on our journey, but we're not going to download all that today. But one of the things, and we were talking about this before the podcast started, is that something that we decided to make a building block for our relationship is Lando comes from a broken home. I come from a broken home. And we had talked about, even though we experienced it in different ways, we both definitely had commonality there in our experiences. And so we had talked about and made a commitment to each other that we were going to do whatever we could to stay together.
Mm-hmm.
That was our building block.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean, that the D word hasn't been thrown around, because it most certainly has, but that was our commitment, and we've built on that. And I think that was the things that we do. I mean, we value time together. We value, time with our children. But I think we've always, even throughout all of the drama and things that we've gone through, our experiences, I think we've always tried to make time to spend together.
Yeah.
So I think that's, kind of how we build on that. We also have a lot of pride in our story. Our story isn't from everybody. There's people, there may be listeners right now that are, when you put this out, that are going to be like, jail? That turns some people off. You know what? That's okay. It's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But that doesn't, you not accepting our testimony and how in our start does not diminish my pride.
Amen.
That's right. It's good that you say that. I won't say good that you say that, but I was thinking that's why I asked that question about, the stigma of being with someone who's been incarcerated. I think it's a beautiful story, just even in that I love a comeback. I'm all into that. If I'm crying at the end of a comeback type of movie, right? A comeback commercial, whatever. But I love that, you didn't just, you opened up the book. You didn't just look at the cover of the book. You know what I'm saying? As far as where Lando is, whatever. I'm just writing that off because that's not for me. I'm not going to. But there was something that made you say, you know what? Okay, like you said, coming out of that space that you were in. I think it's beautiful too because second chances And it is a testimony in that all men that go to prison are not bad men. They do bad things, or but that doesn't make them, that man, a bad person. Lando shared some of his challenges before with dealing with drugs or whatever it is, but the fact that you are where you are now, you didn't stay there. You go through some stuff, but you move on from it. You don't just stay put. And I think so many times people who have challenges or have experienced adversity, they may not know how to come up out of that or to move past that. You are not your past. You are not that situation that happened. You are who you are now. You know what I mean? So I love that you all shared that.
Yeah. No, that I always feel, because I've worked for the county for many years. I was a case manager for many years and had an opportunity to interview a lot of people, single people and families, and listening to other folks' stories. Sometimes people get caught up, and some people will do the same thing and not get caught up, right?
Right.
So, yes, I truly believe that there are many wonderful people that are incarcerated that just would do better, perhaps if they have the support.
Right.
Uh, but anyway, again, I don't want to go take us too far off, but
No,
yes, I believe there are a lot
that's
of
really.
good people.
That's important
I
though.
think that's extremely important because I think a lot of times, unfortunately, the way that the cinema has portrayed, like similar situations, right? Talk about jailhouse marriages, this, that, and the other, from the time we were kids, and
Oh, yeah.
to all the movies you've seen or whatever, they always make it about this lustful, romantic, or I won't say, but kind of a lustful thing, right? Like they talk about conjugal visits and all kinds of stuff that goes on. But other than romantic love, what are some of the pillars that you two have actually been able to establish in your relationship that you were able to build upon? You said 27 years. There are people that have been under the most, quote unquote, perfect situations that don't last a year
Right.
in
Seriously.
marriage. And you're talking 27 years built from the very beginning off of adversity. And I'm curious, what are some of the pillars that you've identified over your 27 years of what you stand on to make your marriage strong?
I think it goes back to the first thing is we made this commitment to each other about staying with each other so that our kids would have a different type of relationship, have their parents in the house. I think it's very important because we both experienced what it was like to not. And so that was like the beginning thing. I uh, I went to, so she said, just like she knows a lot of my family and they're Jehovah's Witnesses. And so when I was a kid, my grandmother made me go to service with her, but I was a kid. Like little. And so I heard about Jesus and all the other stuff, but I didn't really internalize that. As an adult, that's when we actually start in our long phone conversations and letters over the years. That was the first time well, the first time I went to church on my own as an adult. I was in San Quentin. My cousin was there because, like I said, I was raised in Oakland, and so uh, other family members had their different hustles, and so
Right.
he he had been to the service in San Quentin on other visits, and he was like, "Come on, cuz, let's go to church." And he said, "It'll get us out of the cell, and I'm telling you, you're gonna like the music." And I'm like, "Okay." So I went, and that's when it started for me.
And that was the year we were already talking at that point that you went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's when we started talking about finding a church when I came home from prison. We did after a couple it was really just two. And the first church we went to was It was a full-on Pentecostal church. Casting out the Holy Spirit, and people were running all over the church. And Carrie,
Talking in
being a
tongues.
We
she
didn't
was-
understand it.
no,
We just
we
because
didn't,
of our
because
background as witnesses,
didn't-
we didn't understand.
But I didn't
We
have the
understand now.
experience that you did as a Jehovah's Witness. I didn't have any experience in church at all, except for that one time when I went to church. The service.
Yeah, it was a little different.
Yeah, it was a lot different, and it actually scared the hell out of Carrie, and she did not want to go back because it was very intense.
But we did though.
We
We did
did.
go back, and that's actually where we had the breaking down of the spirit, and we have a totally different understanding of it now. But coming
Right.
out of what you're taught all your life, that when you see that kind of stuff, that's demonic, it's scary.
Right.
I didn't understand. I have a better understanding now, and I would not be afraid at all. But it's just that's how I was raised. But I wanted to add to your comment about the pillar of having God and being active in church and having that church community as a pillar for us. And I shared this at our group earlier this month, is that we had the unique opportunity of being separated for long periods of time. Because yes, I could go visit him after I, got married, have the conjugal visits and the other things, but he was so far. He was in Crescent City, so he was at
Pelican Bay.
he was in Pelican Bay at the ranch, at Level 1 Ranch. So it was very far away. I lived in Modesto at the time, so it was like a 8-10 hour trip. So I couldn't get time off of work to go see him that much. And so most of our relationship for those first 2 years was writing it on the phone, like Lando said. But that allowed us an opportunity to build our friendship.
Thank you for listening to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovey can bless your marriage directly.